This episode was taken from a talk I held on entrepreneurship and 3 property secrets. I hope you get some value from this talk. I would love to hear your thoughts. You can find me on any social platform, Ryan OTTO or Perfect Property Deal. If you've ever failed at increasing your income from property, it's not your fault. There's lots of misinformation online that's confusing and just holds you back from success. It's okay. You just haven't had the right person to explain it to you and take those fears away. Because I care about your success, and this podcast is here to give you everything you need to start living your dream life. My goal for this podcast is to serve 2 types of people: entrepreneurs who don't own a single property, and landlords who do. They will learn how to earn up to £42,155 a year. That's 201% above the market rent in this well-known but little understood market called Booking.com. Now, the 3 secrets I'll be sharing with you today. Secret number 1, you earn more money in 1 month than you've earned in the last 12 months. Because every £1,000 in AST rent you're used to earning or charging is now worth £3,000 per month on Booking.com. The average landlord is earning around £1,000 to £3,000 a year after all their expenses. Now, that was before the anti-landlord tax. Now, the second secret is you get to ethically claim 100% of your mortgage interest payments back. Now, there's 2.5 million landlords which are now taxed on their rent turnover. That's 750,000 of those landlords pushed into the higher tax bracket just because of this anti-landlord tax on letting. So they've gone from earning around £1,000 to £3,000 a year to an instant loss of around £2,000 to £4,000 a year, right? Now, the third secret is you get paid by customers, not tenants. So you're no longer held a prisoner to an AST or the court, because there's 2.5 million other landlords which are held prisoners to an assured short hold tenancy in the laws and the courts. Because if a serial rent dodger becomes your tenant, it takes up to 5 months to evict them through the courts, and that's no rent coming in for up to 5 months. Now, that would push most landlords into mortgage arrears or even repossession. Okay, the first secret. You earn more money in 1 month than you've earned in the last 12 months. So you can now stop trading your time and your life for money, and you can start earning what you're worth from today. Because an early mentor of mine, Robert Kiyosaki, he taught me this back in the year 2000 when I bought my first investment property: to never exchange your time for money. Now, this means you no longer have to leave your family every day just to pay your bills and get maybe 1 hour a day with them if you're lucky. Because just listing one of your properties on Booking.com, you stand to earn up to £42,000, 155 in profit per year. Now, this replaces the average salary, guys. So you don't need that job you hate anymore. Does that make sense? This also means you don't have to work full-time or more just to pay for somebody else's expensive lifestyle. By putting just one of your properties on Booking.com means you can now start to build the lifestyle that you and your family deserve, guys. Because all of your efforts mean you, not your boss, get to keep all of the profits. Pretty exciting, right? Cool. Now, this also means you no longer have to never get that precious time back, because you no longer have to exchange your time for money, guys. Imagine you get your first property on Booking.com. You've not only replaced your salary from your job, but you also get all of your time back. I mean, 42.5 hours per week. You no longer need to do that awful commute to the office every day, because this can be done from home, guys. So you have more time with your family. Now, once this is set up, it only takes around 4 hours a week to manage, or a bit more time if, you want to binge on that box set. if that's what makes you happy. Is this starting to make sense to you guys? Let me know if you're getting this in the chat window. So just imagine after this webinar, you apply this rent rise hack and unlock up to £42,155 or more from your existing property in additional rent. Do you understand what that really means for you? This is crazy. Now, I guess you guys have all heard of Tim Ferriss, right? That's the guy from the 4-Hour Workweek. He's a New York Times best-selling business book he has. He's got a podcast called The Tim Ferriss Show, and that's exceeded over 300 million downloads. Now, there is some real work to do here, guys, because this is not a get-rich-quick system where you lie on a beach and, press a button and cash just pours into your bank. That's not what this is. But when this is set up properly, it does only take around 4 to 6 hours a week, guy, for you to multiply your rental profits 10 times. Which is only possible right now when you execute this properly. Pretty exciting, right? Okay. Now, the second secret is you can ethically claim 100% of your mortgage interest payments back. So you can now turn that just under £4,000 loss with the new taxes into a £42,000 profit, right? By avoiding the new anti-landlord tax. Now, which means you're no longer forced to subsidize your property or your portfolio. And you're no longer forced to exit the property market altogether with the latest anti-tax landlord reforms, right? Now, it means you no longer have to sell your property because it would be costing you around £1,800 to £3,840 a year just to keep per property. You don't have to do that anymore. Which also means you'll no longer be forced into the higher income tax bracket. If you skillfully restructure your portfolio to short letting, you'll be completely exempt from the Section 24 anti-landlord tax. Now, that's absolutely amazing. And it's unbelievable that this is an ethical tax saving strategy, guys. Imagine after today, if you went all in into short letting, okay? You would turn a £3,840 loss into a £42,155 potential profit. You will have avoided the new anti-landlord taxes and you're not going to be forced into the higher tax bracket. How would you feel financially? Let me know in the chat window how that would feel to you financially. Because I think you'd feel, fantastic and very special and awesome and great and relieved and the pressure relieved and now you don't have to sell. Let me know how that would make you feel in the chat window. I hope this is starting to make sense to you guys. Is this making sense? Let me know. Okay. The third secret is you get paid by customers, not tenants, guys. Now, this means you're no longer held a prisoner to an assured short-hold tenancy, and you're no longer answerable to the courts. This is a new way that landlords are completely avoiding evictions, completely avoiding rent arrears, and completely avoiding voids forever. Which means you no longer have to evict a single tenant. And you know how long that takes. It takes on average 5 months. Because you're a prisoner to the court with no rent being paid, which is absolutely horrendous. It's painful. It's expensive. It's a destructive, terrible ordeal that forces many landlords into mortgage arrears or even worse, into repossession. You can avoid that now, guys. This also means you no longer have to chase a single tenant for the overdue or late rent. You no longer have to deal with deposit disputes and damage disputes and dilapidations to your property at the end of the tenancy from a serial rent dodger, when rent's overdue, which is a nightmare. Now, there's that horrendous ordeal at the end of the tenancy, which is like a Russian roulette for deposits and damage disputes, which is usually awarded to the tenants because the law is drafted in the tenant's favor. You get to avoid that, guys. which also means you no longer have to have the average void or experience the void around 1 month or 1 month to 6 weeks at tenant changeovers, which is costly. Imagine never having to wait a month or 6 weeks for a tenant to give 1 month's notice on their previous property to their previous landlord before they can start paying you rent and move into your property. Because it's the void that siphons the profits at those tenant changeovers, costing you 4 to 6 or even 8 weeks rent every 6 months or so. Just imagine, guys, never having a problem tenant again. Pretty stress-free, wouldn't you agree? Let me know in the chat window what you think about that. Just imagine never having to put up or face a 5-month eviction with no rent coming in from a serial rent dodger. Some of them abusing the system and the housing laws which are written in the tenant's favour. You get to break away from that and avoid that, guys. You're no longer a prisoner or held hostage by the court. Okay? How would that make you sleep at night, knowing it will never, ever happen to you again? Let me know in the chat window. Because for me, that makes me sleep harmoniously, hassle-free, stress-free. All of that pressure of the conventional renting and the conventional hassles of being a landlord that we were used to for the last decade. All of those pressures and the weight lifted off of your mind. It's an amazing feeling to feel no longer renting in that market to tenants, guys. Is this making sense to you? My friend, if you're not already using arbitrage, what I mean by that is taking a rental property you don't have to be the owner of out of the AST rental market and putting it on booking.com. You stand to lose out on the largest transfer of wealth that's happening right now in 2019, because every £1,000 of AST rent is now worth up to £3,000 of rent on booking.com. If you're not focusing all of your attention on booking.com right now, you stand to lose. Now, you have a massive advantage over the other 2.5 million landlords that are also looking for these secrets. Don't waste that advantage by doing nothing after listening to this talk today. You can join our communities on social media called Ask Ryan OTTO to discuss these episodes and have your questions answered on the next show. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Snapchat. I would love to hear from you and know what you liked about this talk.